Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, thanking you all for coming back and joining me here once again in the theater. Now, for today's review, we're going to take a look at a classic piece of cinema, a movie that is celebrating its 85th anniversary today. It was adapted from a book that most schools, at least from the time when I went to school, we were forced to read, The Grapes of Wrath. Now, The Grapes of Wrath is a 1940 drama film directed by John Ford. It was based on John Steinbeck's 1939 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name. The screenplay was written by Nunnally Johnson, features cinematography by Greg Toland, and was executive produced by Darrell F. Zanuck. The film stars Henry Fonda, Jane Darwell, John Carradine, Charlie Grapewin, Doris Bowden, Darrell Hickman, Shirley Mills, Ward Bond, and others. As our movie opens, Tom Joad, played by Henry Fonda, after being released from prison, hitchhikes his way to his sharecropper parents' farm in Oklahoma. Along the way, he comes upon Jim Casey, played by John Carradine, a former preacher who actually baptized Tom, but has since lost his faith. So he joins Tom as he goes to the Joad property. Upon their arrival, they find that it is deserted, but they find the neighbor, Mully Graves, played by John Quallen, who is hiding out there. Graves proceeds to describe how the local farmers were forced from their farms by the land deed holders, who knocked down their homes with tractors. Tom soon reunites with the family at his Uncle John's house, and Uncle John is played by Frank Darien. The Joads have since decided to migrate with some of the other evicted families to the promised land of California. They pack everything into a dilapidated car adapted to serve as a truck in order to make the long journey across country, and Casey decides to accompany them. The trip along Highway 66 is arduous, and it soon takes a toll on the Joad family. The elderly grandpa, played by Charlie Grapewin, dies along the way. When the family parks in a camp for the evening, they meet a migrant man who's actually returning from California. He scoffs at Pa Joad's optimism about the opportunities in California. Pa Joad is played by Russell Simpson. And he speaks bitterly about his experiences in the West. Grandma, played by Ziffy Tilbury, dies almost as soon as they reach California. Eldest son Noah, played by Frank Sully, leaves the family, while son-in-law Connie, played by Eddie Quillen, deserts his pregnant wife, Rose of Sharon, played by Doris Bowden. The family arrives at the first transient migrant campground for workers. However, the camp is crowded with other starving, jobless, and desperate travelers. After seeing trouble between the sheriff and an agitator, the Joads hurriedly leave and go to another migrant camp, the Keene Ranch. After working in the fields, they discover that the high food prices in the company store, which just so happens to be the only one in the area. When a group of migrant workers is striking, Tom wants to learn more about the reasons why. He attends a secret meeting deep in the dark woods. When the gathering is discovered, Casey is killed by a camp guard, and Tom inadvertently kills the guard while defending himself. Tom suffers a serious cheek wound, making him easily recognizable. That evening, the family hides Tom when the guards arrive, searching for the man who killed their other guard. Tom is able to avoid being spotted, and the family leaves the Keene Ranch without any further incident. After driving for a while, they arrive at the farm workers' weed patch camp, or wheat patch, a clean facility run by the Department of Agriculture, complete with indoor toilets and showers, the likes of which the Joad children have never seen before. Later, At one of the weekly Saturday night dances held at the wheat patch, a group of strangers arrive in order to investigate a riot as a pretext for local law enforcement to storm the camp and arrest the leaders. The camp committeemen have anticipated this, and they're able to subdue the strangers when they attempt to start a fight, leaving the law no choice but to abort their plan. Tom is moved to work for change by what he has witnessed in the various camps, and when police officers arrive looking for the murderer of the guard that Tom killed, he decides to leave, telling his mother that he plans to carry on Casey's mission by fighting for workers' rights. As the family moves on once again, they contemplate the fears and the difficulties that they faced, with Ma firmly vowing that their kind will continue to live on. And our movie comes to its end. Now, there are quite a few differences here between Steinbeck's novel and John Ford's film. Some of those differences include the fact that the first part of the film follows the book fairly closely. However, the second half and the ending in particular are significantly different from the book. While the book ends with the downfall and the breakup of the Joad family, the film switches the order of the sequences so that the family ends up in a good camp provided by the government, and things turn out relatively well for them. In the novel Rose of Sharon, played by Doris Bowden, she gives birth to a stillborn baby, and later she offers her milk-filled breasts to a starving man dying in a barn. These scenes obviously were not included in the film for obvious reasons. Now, Ivy and Sari Wilson, who attend to Grandpa's death and travel with the Joads until they reach California, are left out of the movie entirely, as is Sandry, a religious fanatic who scares Rose of Sharon. Noah's departure from the family is passed over in the movie completely. Instead, he just simply disappears without explanation. In fact, most of the Joad family members are either reduced to background characters, as is the case of Noah, Al, and Uncle John, or to being the focus of only one or two relatively minor scenes, like Rose of Sharon and Connie. Instead, the film is largely concerned with Tom, Ma, and to a lesser extent, Jim Casey. The film is widely considered to be one of the greatest films of all time. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won 2 of them. Best Supporting Actress for Jane Darwell, who played Maude Joad, and Best Director for John Ford. In 1989, it was selected one of the first 25 films by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Now, while I do enjoy the film here for everything that it is, if I'm being honest, I think it drags quite a bit. By no means am I saying that everything needs to be rushed. But for all the stuff that was left out or changed, I feel like if 10 minutes, give or take, was trimmed, it would help the flow of things greatly. I can definitely see why people from the older generations look fondly on the film. However, for me, it's just a middle-of-the-road presentation. When it comes to my rating, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. But what do you guys think of The Grapes of Wrath? Have you read the book? Did you have to read it in school like I did? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that discourse that I'm always trying to engage you, my loyal viewers, in. Until next time, when we return to the theater for another brand new episode of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. I have been your host, the Renegade J.J. Williams, thanking you for joining me and tuning in today. And I will catch you all next time.